All right, we are here with South Carolina head coach Boo Major. The Gamecocks host TCU in their home opener Friday at 2 o'clock in Blythewood. Rain or shine, Coach, 1 week after your season opener, how do you feel heading into Friday's TCU match?
Well, we're feeling pretty good. It's been a really humid, on and off again, rainy week, and I think we've been extremely lucky to get our practices in this week, and it's a short week for us and we've really been prepping. We were really prepping for South Dakota State, and so we've really got a short week to get ready for TCU. We've got, again, a lot of new folks that are competing, and I think when you add that all together, that it makes it a little bit difficult to get ready, but so far so good. Everybody's practicing quite well.
A 9-7 win last week on the road at South Dakota State. You had a lot of new people in the lineup. A lot of new people win points for the first time. With everything said, how did you feel about your team's performance last week?
Well, I think as a whole, we did well. Did we win all of our points? No. Would we have liked to have won all our points? Yes. Would we have liked to scored better on the western side? Absolutely. There's some that we wish we could have taken back on the hunt seat side. But when you look down to it, right down to the basics, we were pretty pleased with how the 90% of the girls rode. There were some that made a couple of mistakes here and there, but nothing that made us just say, "Oh man, why did we pick that person?" So I think that for us, we were very happy with the progression that the girls showed from the beginning of the year until we got to South Dakota State. I think that showed a lot as far as improvement and as far as maturity, and a lot of girls had to grow up pretty quick in the last couple of months. So I think we saw that maturity at South Dakota State this past weekend.
Your first regular season match against TCU since the 2011-12 season, the first time you've seen TCU since 2014 Nationals in the quarterfinals. You were number 1 seed. They almost upset you. You barely got by them in that round. So when you think about TCU, a team that's already won on the road at SMU, talk about how you expect them to enter this competition.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be ready to go. I think they had a pretty good success against SMU, and I think that away, so I think that has prepped them pretty well for coming up here and being able to ride well up here. I think that they've got a strong team. They've got strong coaches. I think both their Huntsy team and their Western team proved to be in the top tiers of the rankings every year, and I don't expect anything less out of them when they come up here. So we're just trying to prepare ourselves to ride our rides, and hopefully it'll help us to come out on top.
On the hunt seat side, last week it was a 7-2 win for you guys, surprisingly led by a 5-0 sweep by your flat team. I know last week you had mentioned to me that was one of the lineups you were a little more cautious about what they were going to do because you had so many folks going in for the first time, but it was a 5-0 sweep. Aaron Fry, Riley Bacharach, Amelia Vernon all win their first career points, and Amelia gets the MVP. A 2-for-2 day for Sam Smith, and then over fences, Lizzie Vanderwald wins her first career point in her debut. When you look at that group as a whole, how did you feel, one, that they did, and two, how they looked in practice this week?
Well, I was thrilled with how well they did. You just never know how somebody's going to perform until you put them under the gun, and they have to perform. And I think all those new folks just did a fantastic job, and I think that helped them a lot with their confidence as far as going into this week's competition. We have some mix-ups, and we don't have all the same people. I do have the same lineup for the flat. I was very pleased with all of those girls on the flat, so I think they all deserve to get back in there and go again. But I think for us, it really is them getting the mileage and seeing the attitude, and are they nervous, or is it good nerves or bad nerves? Is it freaking out because a horse is a little difficult, or is it handling a difficult horse? And I think we saw those girls handle themselves extremely well. Several of them had never even been to an OA meet before, and I think that just speaks volumes for those girls. And I was tickled to death with our freshmen that went. They really put it all out there, and I think all 3 of them won, even though they were doing exhibitions here and there. Bridget and I think Maddie was doing an exhibition, Maddie Thiel. And then for Lizzie to come in and win too, I think that speaks very highly of our freshman class.
On the western side, we'll start with your horsemanship group. They lost 3-0 last week at South Dakota State, a pair of ties for Ashley Reichert and Megan Overberg. I know it didn't show on the scoreboard, but there were a couple riders that you were happy with how they performed.
Yeah, I think, again, there were just some little mistakes here and there. I think Megan Overberg had a very difficult horse that I thought she handled as best as she could. We had a couple of re-rides in there, and I think that Abigail had a difficult horse to start with and then switched on to a horse that was, equally as difficult, but she managed him a lot better. I think for the horsemanship team, it's just, we kind of heap the praises on them after the scrimmage, and I'm sure they're fighting mad right now that, they're better than how they scored last week. They know it, we know it. I think that I'm not worried about what happened this past weekend, and I surely hope they're not worried about it. I think that it's just a matter of them going out and improving upon the mistakes that were made so that we are in a much better position to win our point rather than lose it.
You needed 2 points from your reigning team last week to hold on to the win at South Dakota State. You got those 2 points. Freshman Bridget White won her first career point in her debut, and then Bailey Walters, someone we didn't see a ton of late in the spring last year, but she started the season on a strong note. And then your senior reigner, Sarah Bouchard, tied the event high score to hold her opponent to a tie. So really, that group as a whole, how do you feel about them?
Well, I was very pleased with them, especially when you see two coming in. Bridget, who that was her first career competition period that she's ever even been involved with, and so for her to come out with a win, as well as for Bailey, who did not show a lot in the spring last year, that Coach Sorrell wanted her to get a little bit more mileage in practice and really get in there and show, and that was one of the things that she's been looking for out of Bailey, and she's told me that was the last thing she told Bailey before she went in the ring was get in there and show, and Bailey did it, and we were thrilled. I mean, she did a great job with that horse. It wasn't the easiest horse in the world, and she got the job done. And then, Sarah had to go, was the last person to go. Her person got a 74.5, which is pretty close to impossible to match. So I think for Sarah to be able to go in there and to equal that 74.5 after that horse had already gone once speaks volumes of her ability to get the job done. So I couldn't have asked for a better anchor person to go in and help secure the win. But I was very happy with the horsemanship team, and with the reining team. And I do think that they're going to get better, and they're already good. I think they're going to get better and better as time progresses.
All right, well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us today. Good luck on Friday.
Great. Thanks, Corey.